All right, this is Gabe from MotoringFile, and we are here on the first drive of the new Mini convertible. This is the F67, and actually I'm joined by Andrew Cutler, who's head of communications for Mini USA. And this is the latest new model for not just the US, of course, but for the entire world, the F67 Mini convertible. This is the Cooper S variant. And I think one of the things that I noticed right away is how incredible this screen is, because we are in direct sunlight right now.
And you can see it clear as day.
It's very different than it used to be.
So it's an industry first. It's an OLED round screen, 9.4 inches, and everything is contained within that. So I know you guys have seen online images of the vehicle, but a very, very clean design. You've got the round OLED screen, and you've got the toggle bar with all of the essential switch gear, but everything is clean and simple, just like that very first 59 Mini that Izagona's pen.
Yeah, and I think it's a really, the interior is like you said, it's clean, it's minimal, and I think it fits the brand really well. Are there any, now the seats, everything we see in here in the inside of this car, there's no new materials or colors for the convertible inside, right?
So the interior has a lot of the same design elements as the two-door hardtop. The textures, the door panels. The interesting thing is the fabric dash and the upper door panels, they're made out of 90% recycled material. So a lot of that carries over, resembles the DNA in the other Mini models. What makes Mini unique is there's unique colors. Copper gray is a new color exclusive to the exterior of the Mini, and you can't get that on any other model. That's our signature color with the car. But again, all the goodness that you find in a hardtop, it's in this convertible, this next generation convertible.
And so, a question on that, because I think a lot of people have looked at the fabric and thought, whoa, like this is interesting, but I'm worried about it being dirty, I'm worried about it wearing, etc. But it's a tough material, right?
It's the same plastic that's made out of recycled water bottles. So it's a pretty durable plastic material. It's very sustainable, and the texture, the way it is, it can easily be brushed and cleaned. So
just with water, right?
A very light cleaning solution. A soft bristle brush, you can very quickly clean it. And they've done tests. I mean, the BMW group is very rigorous in its long-term testing. There's materials that are developed and they're left out in the sun, or they're accelerated heat chambers. There's a variety of different testing methods that prove the durability of a lot of the materials. So, and that's including what's in this car too.
Yeah, so it's a very different material, but it creates a very different vibe. I'll say that for the car.
And one of the other things that's really unique, and it's across the Mini lineup, is the Veskin upholstery material, and this is a synthetic leather. And not only is it more sustainable to produce, you don't have all of the toxins associated with leather tanning. You don't have the sustainability issues that are known with large-scale leather harvesting. And it's recyclable.
Well, and it's made from recycled materials, and it is recyclable. And I think, and I've said this since the first time I touched it and wrote about it. It feels better than Mini's old standard leather.
It's convincing. It's really convincing,
in my experience. And I think, beyond that, I think it's also, there's different grades, I think, because the steering wheel is made out of Veskin, and it feels even softer.
Yeah,
it's really, nice.
It's padded material underneath that gives that pliability. But yeah, it's a very premium material, and you're seeing it. So Mini is exclusively Veskin, and BMW's got a similar material. You can still get leather on BMW models, but the standard upholsteries that are available in a variety of different colors are also this kind of material. Very durable, very pliable, very convincing in terms of its appearance, making a lot of people think it is leather.
The colors and the textures that Mini's introduced are interesting. A lot of it, I have to say, like, again, driving this car is not a lot different than driving the hardtop, but you realize right away some of the unique design features that Mini has introduced with this generation kind of feel very at home in the convertible.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the key thing, the biggest differentiator, I mean, we like to say fun comes in threes, but when you're talking about the drop top, the Cooper S, John Cooper Works, it takes all the goodness in the other models you mentioned, and it packages it in an open top driving experience. And very cool on the display, one of the things that Mini had done on that first generation convertible is they had developed an analog gauge, and it was a timer. It was an openometer, and it calculated, just like an hour meter, how many hours the car was driven with the top down. And we brought that functionality back in the digital screen. So this car has an openometer, a timer that says how many hours the top is down on this car.
That's awesome.
We're bringing that fun back. I think
that's cool.
There's a desire. Our senior management have gotten up in internal meetings. They've gotten up in a variety of different press events, and this cheeky, fun, cool vibe that Mini had at launch back in 2002. We're really trying to recapture that and bring that fun back, because that's a huge differentiator in the marketplace.
Yeah, well, you think about it, I mean, looking at a round screen, there's no other car maker that does this, and
can't think of one.
Thinking about the reactions I've seen from people who don't know much about Minis, the first thing they see is this round screen, and they're kind of blown away by it, because it's such a unique thing that is just, I mean, it's unique, but it's also so thoughtfully designed too.
But it's all encompassing, which is cool. And when you talk to people, and some people might be overwhelmed by the wealth of information and functionality that's built into the screen, but when you start to understand that a lot of the touch points, a lot of the interaction is identical to your mobile device, suddenly you realize you can pinch, you can zoom, you can swipe up, down, you can move menus out of the way, all of that interface, the way that we're used to. I mean, it's almost, we've got digital natives now, no generation of people that this is the only way that they know how to interface with technology. This is the way that the Mini OLED screen has been done.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the software is also interesting. I mean, there's the augmented reality through the navigation, which I love. In fact, I was saying this earlier, I actually kind of prefer this over CarPlay in terms of navigation, which I never thought I would say. And I think it's a testament to how hard BMW and Mini have worked on the underlying systems as well within this. But the digital side aside, the convertible is, yes, it's a carryover in a lot of ways, of course, from the hardtop. But there are some differences, of course. So the rear seats, as you can see back there, they're not the biggest, but this is a 4-seater technically.
But you need space for that folding top.
Yeah. You've got the folding top, of course, and it's the same exact top as we've had before.
So the mechanicals, this is where it's based off a similar architecture of the previous generation car, but it's, again, in many ways, it's a quantum leap. But one of the areas that's been tried and true, proven, is the structural integrity of the rear top mechanism and the rear quarter areas, where all of that structure has been developed to be very rigid and also supporting of the complex top mechanism. So that's kind of a carryover,
And because of that, so it still has the tailgate that pops down, which is kind of a unique feature.
It's a unique feature, and it's something that's a lot of our customers enjoy, because it allows you to extend your experience while the car is parked. Having fun while you're driving.
Little tailgate.
Tailgate action. Yeah.
No, it's really cool. And now, is that because the carryover at the top? Is that why these lights, for instance, don't look like the new hardtop lights? Because this seems to be a carryover in the shape.
So
from the
the shape of the stamping, again, because of the complexity of the rear, the rear hatch gate, and the rear quarter, those triangle lights that you see and the recessed rear hatch design of the hardtop, our engineers took a look at what was involved in creating a similar design. And there was a lot of complexity to consider, and there was also homologation factors in terms of developing things to maintain the highest crash standards that we have on the Mini convertible. And it was just it was a decision made to kind of carry some of these elements over in the architecture, versus going through the added expense.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you've got to have a business case that works. But what's cool is that the light functions within the lenses carry over that same digital shape as the new Minis. You can customize the
So
way that they illuminate.
3 different choices.
Yeah, 3 different choices.
Yeah.
And that's easy to do within the lens. And I can guarantee you, not that we've said anything officially, but we're going to have customers that are going to be interested in the part numbers of these new lights to possibly retrofit their previous generation Mini convertibles.
I've already seen it in the MotoringFile comments. It is absolutely true.
I want those lights. Tell me what those part numbers are.
Yep. So there you are. So then, otherwise, again, like a lot of carryover from the F66 hardtop in terms of the exterior design. It's been cleaned up a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that look like they might be identical, like for instance, the headlights, but they're actually quite different. Even the cant or the sort of angle of them is different. And again, I think it suits this car really well, just sort of the simplicity of the design.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's differentiators between the models. For the convertible, I think it's a whole new fresh look, while carrying over these elements from the hardtop in the exterior. But again, the overall sheet metal design, it's fresh. It's meant to complement the other models, including a model that the American market, no decision has really been made yet on, but the Mini Cooper SE. That's all new from the ground up. That's fully electric. That's sold in global markets, made in China. But you look at the design, and it's very, very simple. Even though that car is built on a completely different architecture than this or the internal combustion hardtop, there's a lot of similarities that really show that there's a familial resemblance across the lineup.
No, I think if you had the 2 cars parked, I would say within 20 feet of each other, maybe not right next. I think most people would not be able to see the difference, but once you get up close and see
the
them,
3-foot rule maybe does not apply.
Yes, but nonetheless.
But things like the wheel arches, and that's one of the things that some customers really like, those iconic elements of the wheel arches. And a lot of people say, well, where do the wheel arches come from? When you look at the classic Mini, the edge of the wheel lips were a seam point on the classic Mini body design, and to hide the welding, that seam, there was a black plastic strip that ran around that whole arch. It actually ran along the rocker panel, which was also a seam point. And that the wheel arches that you see on the Mini convertible and the Mini internal combustion hardtop, those are homage to that original classic design element.
Yeah, and I think it's the going back to the interior, and you mentioned earlier, this center display and the sort of the cleaning up of this interior, take the fabric away and other things. It's just the shape of it.
Yes.
It is a one-to-one almost in terms of what the Mini used to look like. So it's really cool to see, in a sense, like Mini's kind of re-embracing in certain aspects of the brand and design that original 1959 classic Mini. I mean, in new ways.
Looking at the dash right now, the toggle. The stop-start button. Many cars now have a stop-start button. It's just a simple round button.
It's like a
Mini has chosen to replicate a key-like switch to stop and start the car. Now, you can't pull it out, but it's a key-shaped head that you twist and turn.
It's cool.
And it's in the same location as it is on the classic Mini from 59. That's where it was located. The switches, they're toggles. And again, they offer a host of functionalities within the various clicking of the switches. Whereas an old toggle, it's either on or off.
Right.
But in this case, it has that same look. It has that same feel.
Yeah.
And it even has basic analog elements like an on-off radio button and a volume control. And this kind of blends the old with the new.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of talk about that too, about getting rid of buttons where people have had buttons in the past, and a lot of people look at that as almost a safety issue.
Yep.
I think the volume is a key one. Like, don't put that on the screen. There's some things that have gone into the screen that I think are pretty intuitive.
Yeah.
The heating and cooling. I mean, I could argue I wish I could just pull it down like that, but that's the beauty of future software releases.
Yep.
I guess.
Over the air updates. I mean, once you activate
once you touch it, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I feel like that's actually even new. I don't think it worked so perfectly before. Now it's like really kind of precise. Am I crazy? Feels like it's been updated.
and that's again one of the great things about the digital platform that we have within the car, the UX UI experience, is that there's constant opportunity for over-the-air updates and new software packages. So our engineers are constantly tweaking, developing new things. And it's not a function of saying, hey, I bought a car at this date and I wish I waited until this date to buy it because I can't get that functionality.
Right.
That's no longer the case. So you get the latest software updates that automatically get pushed into the car, and you get that updated functionality, those enhancements, those tweaks that our engineers are constantly making.
And to that point, I know personal mode just came out in a recent software update.
Yep.
I've seen that on a car just yesterday, and that's a big deal for anybody who wants to create a digital experience that they kind of control. It's the first time that Mini's done something like that, and you've got to the point where you can actually add photos of your own through the app, of course, and make it your sort of background, your wallpaper,
just like your phone.
Just to sum up, I mean, the F67 convertible, it's going to be available as a Cooper and Cooper S in the United States, and then of course the John Cooper Works as well. No differences in power, output, etc. for this model. They all are identical to what we saw in the hardtop. And when should we expect the first convertibles to hit showrooms in the U.S.?
So production starts this month, November, and we should expect the first cars to be arriving early January.
Okay.
Maybe even earlier than that, but at this point we're saying early January you're going to see these cars hit the showrooms. Okay. That, along with the John Cooper Works convertible variant, as well as the John Cooper Works two-door hardtop.
Got it.
And that will represent the last of the entire updated model line.
I'm sure that you and everybody at Mini is breathing a sigh of relief. Given
there's been a lot to talk about, which has been fantastic. I mean, we know that there's been a lot of special editions and a lot of customers that have enjoyed the consistency of our previous products. But there's always been the desire, what's all new? What's next?
Yeah.
How is what's Mini going to do to stay fresh, beyond special editions? Now we have a resounding answer across every single model segment that we're playing in.
Well, that's a good place to end it. As always, Andrew, thank you very much. You're always incredibly insightful and full of every answer I need.
Glad to be here. Glad to be chatting with you. And anytime you or your audience need more information on Mini, we're always here to help.
All right, well, let's go drive. Or sorry,
Absolutely.
let's go
motor.
Here we go.